All right, let's talk about compound probability. First of all, I should probably apologize for the crappy Yoda impression for the last set of notes if you listen to it. Oh, I just listened to it and that was bad. Anyway, today we're going to talk about probability in a slightly different way. We're going to talk about what's called compound probability. And that's basically the probability of multiple events. Right. So now when we talk about probability, it's not just what are your chances of getting a heads or a tails. It's probability of getting a heads and then a heads, or a tails and then a head. So multiple things are happening. So we're only going to talk about, for the most part, what are called mostly independent events, which just means that they don't really affect each other. So independent the events don't affect each other, in simple terms. And really, the things that you need to know, the most important thing, and you'll probably get most things correct if you remember this, is that and means multiply. And usually, actually, it's mostly and then. Or add. And that's usually or things could happen at the same time. So or means kind of the same time. Multiply means different times, and that means to multiply. So let's say if we're going to roll a dice. And you guys know, usually it comes 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So if I said, what is the probability of less than 4 or greater than equal to 5, right? So since this is an or, we're basically thinking on the same roll of the dice. So it's not two separate things that are happening, it's on the same one. So I'm sure some of you figured this out so far. The total number, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 is on the bottom. And you do less than 4. There's 1, 2, 3. And then greater than equal to 5. There's 1, 2. So the total different things you want is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. The probability is 5/6, which if you really want to put that as a percent, it'd be 83.3%. So or just means you're totaling them up, right? If I were to say the probability less than 4 and then greater than equal to 5. So this is an and then. That means you're rolling one dice and then you're rolling another dice. So since it's an and then, you're doing these as two separate things. You got to multiply them. So it's still going to be 6 and 6. Like the dice isn't going to change the amount of sides. 1, 2, 3 times 1, 2. Which is really 1/2 times 1/3. 6 out of 36, which equals 1 out of 6. So there's actually a relatively lower chance of getting one thing and then another. Whenever there's more than one rolls, every single roll is going to decrease your probability by quite a bit, which is why when you multiply, your number is going to get smaller every time. We went from 50%, and this was 33%, and then we end up with 16.67% at the end. So when you're doing probability, and there's more than one thing happening, especially if it's an and, then you've got to multiply those numbers together, and your probability goes down. The other thing that you got to be careful of is with replacement, which means you pick something and you put it back, right? You are looking for something in the refrigerator, the best Capri Sun flavor, and there's like 5 different ones in there. You take the one out, you're like, I don't want this one. You can put it back in and then choose something else. But the problem with that is you put it back in, and then you might accidentally choose the same thing again. So there's a second one, which is without replacement. Which means you pick something and then you leave it out. Right. So if you're looking for the right flavor you want, you choose, I don't know, Pacific Cooler. Like, I don't want this one. Instead of putting it back in and choosing it again, you put it to the side, and now you choose again. And now there's only 5 things to choose from instead of 6, or 4 instead of 5, whatever I said, so that you don't have to keep accidentally choosing the same thing. So without replacement, the important thing is this one affects the total. So it'll change how many different things there are. So just be careful that you're making sure that there's replacement, with replacement, without replacement. Okay. So they like to do like marble questions sometimes. Let's say I choose out of 4 red marbles, 3 green, 2 blue, 1 white. Right? I could say, what's the probability of red, blue with replacement? So then if with replacement means you're going to choose something, and you're like, nope, I wanted a blue. You put it back, and then you choose again. So, comma, means and then. So it's just a shortcut. So you don't have to keep writing and then, and then, and then. So how many red are there? There's 4 out of 6. Take it, since you're with replacement, it stays the same, 2. And you get 8 out of 36, which equals, what, 2 out of 9. That's a 22% chance. Okay. So let's see what it is without replacement. Red, blue, so it starts the same. There's still 4 reds, and there's still, this is completely wrong. I don't know why you guys didn't say anything before. I mean, come on, guys. I expect more out of you. Oh. There's totally 10 marbles. 10 marbles. So you get out of 100, which is 2 out of 25, which equals 8%. So the people looking at these notes without the video, you'll be like, oh, I'm good. The rest of you looking at the video will be like, Galloway, now I gotta erase things, and you'll complain, and yada yada. So red, it's still 4 out of 10. But now, that red one that we took, we just put it to the side. So there's not 10 marbles in there anymore. Now there's 9, but there's still 2 blue, which gets you 8 out of 90, which would get you 4 out of 45, which equals 8.9%. So when you take things out, they change. The other thing to be careful of, I could say the probability of green, white, green without replacement. So that's 3 different fractions you're going to have. So the first one, there's 10 marbles, how many green? 3. Times, how many marbles are there now? 9. How many white are there? 1. Times, there's 2 marbles you set aside now, so now there's 8. Now, how many green are there? 2, because one of the green ones has already been put to the side. 6 out of 720. 1 out of 120. Which, if you want to know the percent for that, it's going to be 0.8%. The other thing that says, if you did this 120 times, you would only get green, white, green once on average. So be careful with replacement. Without replacement, it's going to change things.